Hello everyone, this is Yeeflex and welcome back to another Yeeflex Outdoors video. In this video, this is going to be my early June recap San Pablo fishing video. So prior to this fishing trip, the last fishing trip was the last video in the beginning of May. I had planned a couple trips to go during the month of May to San Pablo because I had a local friend of mine tell me that the fishing was good. But unfortunately, due to how busy I was at work, I wasn't able to make it out to San Pablo, but I was able to finally make it out in the beginning of June, pretty much a month later, to San Pablo. And on this fishing trip, it was a pretty successful fishing trip, in my opinion. There were some people fishing around us. Everyone around us caught at least one or two, like kind of keeper size. But for the most part, a lot of the fish that were biting that day were like 9, 10 inches. So on this trip I went with my dad. So me and my dad personally, we caught about three 9 to 10 inch trouts, and then we caught two one 12 inch and one 13 3/4 inch trout. So the three 9 and 10 inch trouts we released basically by just cutting the line and letting the fish swim off, because there are a lot of small trouts. And for the most part that day, there were a bunch of people just catching these small ones, like 9, 10, maybe 11 inch fish. And they were just catching multiple of those, but a lot of people were just throwing the small ones back if they didn't die off. I would say that there was only one person that caught like a pretty good sized fish. It was towards the end of the day. It was actually a couple local guys that were fishing at San Pablo that day, and one of them my dad had recognized. He actually caught about a 5 pound trout from what he assumed, and it was like right before we left at the end of the day. So it was pretty interesting to see that trout get caught, because I've never seen a trout jump so high up in the air, because it was trying to get the hook out of its mouth or spit the hook. And I swear, I was sitting on the dock and I looked to my right, and like that thing looked like it was like 3 or 4 feet out of the water. Like I've never seen a trout jump that high before. So pretty crazy. That was a really acrobatic trout, but for the most part, it was kind of slow, but there was some good action. As I said earlier, there were a couple of local guys that my dad had met, and one of them I had met before. So it was pretty interesting because he's like, "Hey, I haven't seen you guys in a month." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, it has been about a month." But some of the other guys along the bank, they caught at least one or two keepers, as I mentioned earlier. And for the most part, I think what everyone kind of has said is basically at San Pablo, they did stock, like I think towards the end of May or very early June, kind of that last week of May. But I think a lot of the fish that they might have stocked are smaller fish, because when my dad and I went to the cleaning station in San Pablo to clean the fish, one of the guys who was also there cleaning his fish said that he noticed that there were a lot of smaller fish being caught now versus in April, where I caught that 20-inch trout, and a lot of people were catching like those 18, 20, maybe even bigger fish. Like now they're kind of a little more rare if you catch one of the bigger trouts. Like for the most part, you kind of catch these like 9 to 12, 13-inch trouts, which is very interesting. I don't know how the stocking pattern is at San Pablo. I don't know if they stock the big ones in the beginning and then stock smaller ones, considering it's in June, and normally like they stop planting in June depending on the weather. If it's too hot, they stop planting. So normally maybe now like they're planting the small ones to get bigger. I don't know, that's just a theory of mine, but I did notice that like a lot of the fish were smaller in terms of size, that a lot of people were catching and just kind of releasing back. So overall, really good trip. Again, like we have this one red rod, caught most of the fish, which was really an interesting experience. But overall, the two trouts that you'll see in this video, they're two good size ones. They're good personal eater sizes, and yeah, overall, really good trip. Hopefully, in the future, I'll try and go maybe for trout one more time, but I think it's gearing more towards catfish. So I have like my local buddy that goes fishing at San Pablo. We've kind of talked about maybe going for catfish. So I'm hoping like during the summer to go to San Pablo, at least to try for catfish. I don't think we're going to catch catfish because I don't really know too much. He knows a little bit more, but not as much because last time he caught a catfish there, it was kind of by just kind of like the luck of the bait he was using. But this time we're both going to be targeting catfish. So if there isn't another video with me catching trout, it probably will be more so me trying to catch catfish. And there'll be a couple of videos probably where I don't catch anything of catfish just because I'm trying to test it out. So overall, really good fishing trip. It might be my last one for a little while, depending on how busy I am at my job. But overall, just really good. Really glad to catch 5 fish, but release 3 of them just to have the little ones survive. So hopefully they grow bigger and survive, and I can maybe catch them in the future. So overall, really good fishing trip. Great to have bites, always a great thing. Weather was pretty good for the most part, and overall, I hope I can make it to San Pablo one more time in June, but if not, maybe sometime in July. So, anyways, have a good one, everyone. Peace.